our last session of the day, for which I would like to call upon Ms. Shalini Nambiar, Vice President GEMS Education. Please welcome her with a round of applause. Ma'am, I request you to please took over the dais for the further session.
Almost leaving because I think, we haven't digitally advanced so much. I mean, I wish I could get a chopper and be dropped there looking at all the traffic, but thanks to Seema, she caught me outside, so I'm back. I think this session was supposed to be a roundtable conference, but I think a lot of people have not come. So that's why I think the mic is with me. But I'm not going to be just speaking. I want to make it interactive. It was a very interesting part of the session that we're going to be talking about the future schools. How do you improve the operations efficiency, for the future generation? And when we are talking about the future, the present has already disappeared from their chairs. So how are we going to build the future schools? That is what the whole talk is about. And I think we can all have a good laugh. I mean, I said the present has already disappeared. But anyway, I was just reading an article by an Australian magazine, Age publication, and they were talking about what the future schools will look like. So they're going to be like nerve centers. In fact, if there are any school leaders here, this was my dream as when I was heading a school, and even now I am, that the principal's room should be, with walls just half, most easily accessible. So they were talking that the future schools are going to be nerve centers where you'll have probably rooms like this where children are going to collaborate, because collaboration is the key for the future, and then probably they will go and have individual workstations where they'll work. Now, I don't know how long it will take for us in India to reach that level because of the challenges. And the biggest challenge which we have is the mindset. So I want to just tell you a small story. This is regarding this hunter. He was taking a walk in the jungle and he saw a group of elephants, big, huge elephants, tied up with a very thin string and attached to a very small bush. But these elephants were not moving. So he asked the trainer that these are such big elephants and how come they are not moving and what is the reason? So he said when these elephants are very young, we tie them up, and now when they have grown up, they still think that they are tied up. And this is what happens to most of us. We feel, we believe we cannot change. The whole world is becoming digital, and technology is going to be the next in thing in the classroom. I did a session with grade 12, and I want to share that. So I asked the kid, what would you like to do? Write an essay in a notebook or put it on a podcast or a blog? They said blog, because more people will see it there. Here only the teacher is going to be seeing. So what I'll do is I think I'm supposed to move around with the mic. If anybody has any ideas, how they're going to improve, because I think everybody needs to, the session is not going to be for an hour, I'm sure. So if anybody has any ideas, because I would like to make it interactive. And then I have written a few points which I would like to share, that how we can build future schools where there is operational efficiency. They also spoke about return on investment. I mean, I am an educationist. For me, the investment is only children. I really don't care about anything else. And how are we going to make a learning environment different than what it is now? Do you think the children are learning? Do you think this is the kind of classroom? It's a challenge, and I think you all will agree. We do train our teachers, we do a lot of sessions, and if you have read about the latest research, he was saying the children learn by doing. That's not 100%. That's, I think, they learn by doing only 50%. The latest research says 100% learning takes place when there is peer learning, because they shed all inhibitions, the children, and they learn from each other. But we still follow a very traditional method in our classrooms. So I would like to have some, yes, here is a digital expert, my friend.
It's okay.
So,
well,
yeah.
I'm Dr. Dheeraj. Thank you, ma'am, for staying back. And I'm very sure this is going to be one of the best sessions.
Thank
My idea is that we need to develop our own vocabulary in the classroom related to technology, quoting A for apple, B for blackberry, C for cloud, and then to Z, because children love the capacity through technology, because it is only in the classroom they are not with technology, but once they are out, they are only with it. So the teachers need to have a new backbone of technology, sharing it in the cloud. And here I recollect somebody mentioned during the afternoon session also about the hole in the wall experiment by Dr. Sugata Mitra. And I wish and request all of you to please Google this information and how he can do it around 15 years, 10 years back. And that really brought in a great change. So that is the new look forward for our teachers to equip a new vocabulary of technology and develop patience and pride and engage the children the best way.
Thank you. In fact, I'd like to just talk about that hole in the wall. So because I have attended his session 2 times, I had the privilege of attending, and it was excellent. So what he did is he picked up these clusters of slums in Delhi, like Kalkaji and all these places, and in the wall he put the computers and he just left it there, and the research showed that within 1.5 hours, I mean he's a TEDx winner on that, within 1.5 hours the children were able to find how to operate, how to play games. They picked up in 2 hours basic English language words like start, exit, open. Now this is something, you know why teachers are scared to do in the classroom? You know, when we talk about flipped classroom, I am doing an experiment with one of my classes. I'm doing it myself because I don't think so the teachers, you know, let's be honest, they are scared. They are the same thing. When computers were coming, everybody was scared, oh, we're going to lose our jobs. So I think that fear of not being able to handle things, you know, is keeping them like flipped classroom. If you're going to send, you know, the children do in the classroom actually the homework. They're supposed to do the classwork at home. It's just opposite. Now that teachers will not do it. Let's be honest. Whatever workshops you may do, why for a very simple human basic nature, they lose the power. You know, it's something very, very simple, but it's a fact. Yeah, somebody else had raised. Yeah. Should I come around?
2 or 3 points I have in mind. One is Cambridge has begun something called the skill-based learning in global perspectives. From the grade 1 to grade 8, we have started piloting it. And there they have identified 6 skills that the children must nurture, we must nurture in the school. And when we are doing it, it is so different from the normal road to learning, memory learning, where even children come out with innovative ways of, you know, creating, you know, there is one skill this week, it is reflection. Another skill is analysis. So hands-on skills that are required for children to lead their life is some curriculum that needs to be created. And that's how classrooms can move. That is without digital. That is creativity and imagination. Now, when it comes to digitalization, now we have experts from all over the world who can be accessed in the classroom, say in a geography lesson or in any other physics lesson, where we can go through the interactive board, get the expert coming in and talking in the class about a particular concept. That Microsoft is doing it so well, we can really, you know, take it from them. And the third thing is there is something called a career path that children can, because we are educating children for future. And we know many of the careers that are there today will not exist when they are 10 years down the line, when they go for careers. And yet we are educating them for careers which will not be there. So we need to look at that and see how career path in very, very innovative subjects can happen, which is available all over, and we can do it right from 6th standard onwards. Have a career education class happening, online career education class happening, and it is wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
In fact, I'm sure, I'll just like to say, you must have heard of those cloud nannies, which are started by a UK, and where they have these mentors from, retired people who can talk to their children in India through Skype. In fact, at my school, we are doing, the French class is actually, we have tied up with 2 French schools. So they learn English from us and we learn French from them. But it was difficult, let me tell you, it was very challenging because the children's social skills are very different. So the reaction of our kids was, why don't you allow us to wear earrings and color our hair? So it was a big challenge because for a month it took us to make them understand. And there's nothing wrong. I mean, how do I tell them as a leader that it's wrong to color your hair? So these are some challenges, but I think basically what we have to look at is children must learn. We still have teacher-centric classroom. What is required, what you were saying, ma'am, even I'm an IB person, global perspectives. I mean, the curriculum is fantastic. I mean, I'm just studying CBSE, I would say, is fantastic. But it's the implementation where we are lacking. The methodology. Our trainings are based on something entirely different. And somebody said it's very difficult to find good teachers. I think most of the people say that. I think it's very difficult to find good leaders. Because if you have a good leader who's not a boss, he'll make sure that every teacher becomes good. So I feel that is a problem because a leader has to be able to look at things, that able to execute stuff at 30,000 feet and look at the broader picture from 50,000 feet. So when a teacher walks into your school, the first thing you need to do is to train her. And I'm sure everybody is trainable. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Brijesh Karya. I'm a teacher by profession. I remember 2007, I used to teach with blackboard and chalk. Yeah, and our institute said that from now onwards, we have to use PowerPoint presentations. I didn't sleep for 2 nights, honestly. I said, my handwriting is so beautiful. My children appreciate me for this. What chalk and talk, if it stops, I mean, what will happen to me? Trust me, for 6 months, I didn't use it. But somewhere I realized that if I want my students to change, as a teacher, I have to change first. So that's when it struck me that if I start making the content for the students, my involvement is much more. And I will start using that content more in the classroom. So I feel that if a teacher gets into a creation mode for the content, for their particular students, trust me, today we are into content. I mean, I'm personally into content making for 100+ institutions. And trust me, it's a beautiful journey. And as a teacher, I can promise you one thing. We can give any tech guy a run for his money as far as educational technology is concerned. Because the passion comes from being a teacher, is what I feel. So if we teachers feel that this change has to be brought about and we actively become a part of the creation process, I feel this will change very fast. This is my 2 bits on
yeah,
it.
it
Can I
will,
just-
because, yeah, sure.
I just wanted to add something there. Getting back to our topic on ROI, if we have school owners sitting here, obviously I think everybody's got a reason to invest in technology. And I think there are many, many schools, who actually take up this, make sure that they have everything in the class. But where they fail is because they haven't trained or empowered their teachers. And I think unless that is done, it will just remain like a very fancy article in your classroom. Absolutely. And will not be used effectively. So I think when you want to look at your return on investments per se, if you have to look at every single thing that gets into a schooling system, should be audited and the learning outcome must be measured. And unless these things are in place, we will just be doing things because everybody else is doing it. And I don't think that's the way we should be working.
Absolutely.
And getting back to, one more point that I'd like to make is that, we're all educationists at the core of it. We would love to take on whatever is, trendy, whatever is new, as long as we know that the learning outcome of our children or the way or the manner in which they're going to learn is going to get enhanced. So I think, we all go with you in saying that, it must be used and will be used, but it has to be effective.
Thank you very much. Just to conclude, as ma'am said, training is very important. I was talking to one of the school owners, and she said that, what if I train my teachers and they leave me? I said, what if you don't train and they stay with you? The danger is even more, So that's all. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Vaishali here. And since morning we are having a discussion about classroom, education, teacher, management and all. And end of the day, my mind is having a clutch in terms of, as we are talking about, and I'm 100% agree with that, yes, technology is important in the classroom with the students, with the teacher. But since morning, it's like, no, if you'll see a lot of technology available right now. Don't you think as a educational leaders, you get into that dilemma ki what will work in the classroom and what will work with the teachers, and how, as we are talking about the future schools as well, because as a leader I get into that dilemma a lot of that's there. If anybody can have a say on this.
So I just like to pinpoint that, of course, as ma'am said, ma'am from Hyderabad, sorry I forgot your name, most of the schools advertise, you know, it's become a gimmick by the investors, or we have smart boards. And you have parents actually coming who don't even care whether they are used or not, but they'll ask you, आपके स्कूल में smart board नहीं है? So smart boards तो लग गए हैं, but teachers smart नहीं हुई है. And teachers are so confused because even if suppose I am at level A in my training, the students are level D in, you know, they are faster than us. I mean, we can't operate. In fact, I have got kids who will do faster than what a teacher will do. So that is what has to change. The teacher, we always talk about these big words, facilitator and this, that, but where do you facilitate? You're actually giving instructions. Let them be. Just give them what we call, I mean, I just did a training with a group of teachers, inquiry-based learning. Give them the, what is the genius question? Give them one question. Like we were doing shoes, I'll give you an example. So the children in grade 3 were learning about, you know, the types of material. I think there's a topic in CBSE. So we said, okay, how do you take them beyond the textbook? So, okay, where do you find shoes in the world? Which were the foreign brands which came in India? And we did the whole class in the computer lab. The teachers were not agreeing, but you wouldn't believe the children knew by the end of 40 minutes much more by just researching on their own. Now again, I'd like to add, researching is something which should not be left. What schools have started doing, they give project work. They say, okay, find out on your own. I mean, I'm sure all of you are adults, and Google has of course become more important than a teacher now or a parent. And if you type anything, hundreds of websites open which are not good for the kids. So research needs to be directional, needs to be told. The child needs to be told, okay, this is where you need to go. And for that, the teacher has to do research, which is very important. And another thing, if I may add, as for the future schools are concerned, projects cannot be, you know, small projects. It has to be long, it has to be related to real life. Like, okay, we had this problem in Gurgaon, you all know. I mean, it's like a roller coaster ride. In fact, I joke that after a month, I will probably not be able to tell kids my heart is on the left side because it might go to the right, because the roads are so bad. So you need to give them things like this. Okay, how do we get around improving the infrastructure in Gurgaon? Let them think. And you won't believe, children are brilliant. They wrote letters to the governor and they said we'll go to the, you know, it has to be a long thing. But we need to, one very important thing is trust them. They will not do anything wrong. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening everybody. I'm Priyanka here. And Vaishali, I think I can understand where you're coming from. All of us face that dilemma, and it's not just regarding technology, it's going to be about a lot more things. Yeah. For the simple reason, our students are leading and we are now followers, especially in the digital era. You have so many kinds of personalities, so many kinds of identities, be it their Twitter handle, be it the Facebook page, be it Instagram or Snapchat. One student of ours may have so many personalities on different stages. At the same point of time, they have a platform where they have the freedom to be, for the simple reason the generation which is leading is not as equipped. So they have become leaders because they were not scared to experiment, learn, and these are children. I do not know of a school till now who has a classroom or a teacher dedicated to Facebook or to Instagram or Snapchat, and yet our students are there. If they are there, we cannot afford to be left behind, because it's like entering another planet. If we are planning to be on Mars or Jupiter, we are spending billions to be there. We are taking precautions for microbes, for anything which is dangerous out there, to keep ourselves safe. And here we have entered another realm altogether, where very little is known about the psychological impact, about the peer pressure, the social skills, the behavioral values, where schools can do the leading for the simple reason the parent neither has the time, nor the energies, nor the equipment or the paraphernalia to be able to do so. We cannot afford to wake up after 10 years and say this research says this is the effect on brain, and this is the effect on behavior, and this is the effect on EQ, and this has been the effect on IQ. We know it is affecting our students. Yes?
True.
Would you agree or not?
Well, I will...
Last but not the least, just one more part here. While we need to be on the digital platform, we need to be in the virtual world, schools also need to school students, and more importantly parents, teachers already we are doing. All of us are responsible leaders to remain humane.
Right.
You know, at the end, we are going back to organic food, and we've learned and we've paid for your industrial revolution, we've paid for the fertilizer revolution, etc. We are finding out what was originally there was good for us, and we are paying 5 times the money for a simple Fab India organic dal or a pulse, etc. Same way, let there be organic teaching in our classes also, let it remain. At the end, we are humans, robots will always be there. Thank you.
So, Shalini, the most important thing what we need to understand in this 21st century, and we're forgetting probably, but I remind that every day to myself, child is the father of man.
Yeah.
Okay? So they know much more than us.
Yeah.
So it's a very challenging time for all of us. We need to get on our tenterhooks. We need to be good researcher. I think children know much more than you can even think about.
Yeah.
So that's what the real challenge is.
In
That
fact,
how much are we reading? How much are we honing our skills? Are we free with Twitter? Are we free with Instagram? Whatever. And you know, and be prepared to accept and be humble in front of the children, telling them, child, can you help me please?
You're right, ma'am.
You see, this
If
is
I
very
can,
important.
With your
Can
permission.
you help?
Yeah.
You know, because we have to be honest.
In fact,
let's not. I mean, we can't compete with the younger generation. We have to
That's true,
accept
that's
it.
true.
In fact,
we have to be a
you
good
know, I want to throw a question to the House, because I'm sure there are a lot of principals, directors, owners, whatever.
Yeah.
Are you going to allow a mobile in your school?
Why not?
How many will allow?
We will, but after a certain training.
Yeah.
Because there's a very thin line.
Excellent.
You see.
I think we should
So
give her a
it's
big
up to
hand,
her.
because I think we should
Yeah.
allow,
Yeah.
but we need to
Because we
tell the
can't-
children. What is
We have to. You know, there are certain value systems which we need to worry about, which we have to slowly ingrain them in them, starting from your class 2, 3 level. Because that's where we start preparing them for. Because the formative years, you know, we just overlook those years, but we need to be sensitive about them. Only then something will happen as the children grow up. Yeah?
A point,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Here, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm Colonel Singh. I come from Uttarakhand after doing the stint in the army and thereafter corporate. Me and my wife, we opened a school in a place called Kotdwara. A lot of companies, they come with a lot of digitized products. You cannot match them. Using them is inescapable. They are force multipliers. Everybody will agree so. Those who want to be progressive in their ideas. But one point I feel seldom that we actually forget about is the world of a Delhi child differs from a world of the Rampur child. World of a person or a child or a classroom of Rampur differs from the hinterland classroom of Garhwal. Right, ma'am? We cannot, in today's world or today's India, we can't have a typical set of, education norms, tools, facilities for the metros separately and for the rural places separately, where adaptation of technology has not gone well with these places where a very, very limited means, and I'm not talking about in any way that child of that place is incapable, very good. is because there has not been, we've not been able to identify the right gap. Can we today, whether it is technology or no, can we today say, okay, a school owner like me, I will not have a 40 minute or 30 minute or 25-minute period. A teacher who's working for me or for any other school owner, she has to translate or she has to go through that lesson plan of 30 minutes or 40 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever the school organization is. And she has to deliver those learning outcomes or try to deliver those learning outcomes in those 20 to 40 minutes. Now, where these digitized classrooms in these places and also some places of Delhi, we know, have not gone along well is there has been a clash. In that period of 40 minutes, if I'm a teacher and I have to, deliver a lecture where I want to make sure that the learning outcome is fully translated to the child and understood by the child, in difficult to learn topics, I have to identify that 5 minutes or 10 minutes of interface which I can be on a video as well as digitally I'm able to show it to the child. For reinforcement, it can be done on the same period, it can be done after a week or something like that. So there has been a mismatch as far as identification of what is the requirement of the classroom is concerned. There is a lot of mismatch. What to talk about digitization? There is not even connectivity in, let us say, 30% of India. We have to go there as educationists and understand as to what the real world is.
Sir,
but
I totally...
we have to go. We have to go ahead.
I'd like to add,
yes.
The school which I'm heading has it's in a village, Gurgaon, Palam Vihar. Okay, so we have a large number of population which doesn't have laptops at home. The children don't have. So when we started the concept of flipped classroom, in one of the sections I wanted to do it as a trial for the teachers. There were at least 10 kids who came and said, we don't have laptops or we don't have computers, and they really don't. So what we started as an educational institute, because it becomes, sir, our responsibility. So we told them you can stay back, get your lunch and stay back for 2 hours till 4 o'clock and tell your parents to come and pick you up, and you work on these computers. And we never had a teacher sitting there. We gave them whatever the work, the teachers gave them for what they had to prepare. And the amount of learning which took place in the 40-minute period in the classroom, you can't even imagine. Because the children felt firstly very confident. The flipped classroom is no more just a concept in a book. It has to be practiced by all of us, because I've seen the success. So when the children came back, they'd already read, they were feeling very confident about it, and they had questions for the teacher. So and when you have, your classrooms designed where children sit in a group, and so one person will take a leadership role, and there'll be other kids who will, everybody learns. I mean, that's my, take on this. Because we need to go digitally, because these kids can find 10,000 things on a mobile, which me and you cannot. So I feel that the gaps are there more because of we are not ready to change. Not because of the children.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry
Yeah.
to butt in. My, statement of the gap is not that.
Okay.
My statement of gap is everybody is using and
technology,
willing to use technology. Gap is what does the school classroom really requires, and what is really available in the market.
Yeah.
There is a parallel classroom, available in the market, which may not be required at the school level.
Yeah, I agree to that, because we had taken, I don't remember, so they had these videos. So they send you, like for an EVS, they'll send you 10 videos. So the teacher actually became dysfunctional, because she started depending on that, so she was not planning. Now when the video is run, even if I run a video now and we are all adults, I can assure you 40% people will sleep off. Some people do not react to a video because all of us are different learners. So it is something, that's what I agree with you, there are gaps and that needs a smart teacher, and that to be able to identify and how to make that 40 minutes more effective. Yeah, you wanted to say something? So
I think I'd just like to add one thing.
Yeah.
I think when we think, talk about learning, I don't think we should, kind of focus so much on the technology aspect as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I know some of the best schools in the country who have a philosophy where they feel that, this kind of an intervention is not required because the native intelligence of the child can be developed even otherwise. And it's one of those schools who've got one of the best results in the country. It is an elite school. Yeah. It's not because they cannot afford to, but because of the philosophy. So I feel it's always the balance that one can strike, which is very, very important. If you look at the positives of technology, I'm sure that all of us know that there are n number of, possibilities also where we feel it is a necessity. But then let's not also overdo it too much. To me, ROI means, a return on infinite possibilities of a child, and I wouldn't want that to be restricted just to technology.
Okay. Okay, so I think I'm going to close the session.
Ma'am, I need to drag...
Anybody? Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. I need to drag the attention of the House towards a problem which I am facing as a principal in my school. Actually, I work in a school that is nearby Dadri, Greater Noida. So the people there, we are, since morning, I am also agree to the people who are saying here that since morning we are talking about technology. I was also talking 2 years back when I was working with a good brand, I don't want to name that, when I was taking care of a brand and I'm working there, and I worked there successfully and got so many results out. But when I took the responsibility of a principal in a school like Dadri, near to Dadri, where people are still not able to understand even a single sentence of English, how does this technology going to impact them? I tried a lot, because I was from that aura, I tried a lot to pull them up, but actually they are not able to understand.
So ma'am, I'd like to tell you, because that's why you must go back today and see Hole in the Wall. Have a look at that video. If you leave the children in a room with a set of books, and research proves they will learn faster than if a teacher is there, because we try and tell them that, listen guy, you don't know, I'm going to tell you. And this is somewhere you need to leave the kids. Trust them. They learn faster than us. Like, the computers are faster today than they were 30 years back. So I am maybe slower than you, and your kids will be faster than you. So that's the way the brain is being developed now. So I think you need to trust them. Whether they know English or no, like I was in France, I had to pick up French because people didn't speak. So it's actually, they say mother is the necessity of invention. You start picking up things when you know there's nobody to help you. Like I have a maid at home, and she stays, and because all of us work, I'm not lying, so we open the desktop for her. We have one ancient one. You wouldn't believe she started sending us greeting cards and emails. It's all about giving these people an opportunity and believing they can do it. Do not focus so much on the English language. Britishers have gone. It's not important. They will pick up. Let's be proud of what they are speaking, because, I think my maid sends me a WhatsApp if she's not coming, I'm being honest. So I think it's about trusting these kids, and I think we'll wrap up the session. And anybody has any last comments? And I'll just like to say before that, sir, one line. We cannot escape technology. I feel that. I'm telling you, next year, next year when I come, Deepa, you might find my head on my feet and my feet here with the kind of roads we have. Yeah, tell me. You wanted to say something.
I just wanted to share a survey which was conducted in connection with the future of educational technology. And it was conducted 2 years back. I just want to give the nutshell of that one. The result of the survey showed that 89% of high school students have access to internet. 89%. 50% of students in grade 3 through 5 have access to internet. 64% of students surveyed identified using 3G to 4G enabled devices, and 46% of teachers use video for classwork. 1/3 of the student access video online, which is called as Khan effect. 60% of students use mobile device for anytime research. 43% of students use mobile phones for educational games. 40% use for collaboration with peers. 33% use mobile device for reminders and alerts related to their academic lives. Then 24% take photographs for their assignments in institutions. 12% text question to their instructors. 39% advise friends about content they post. And 32 said that they have stopped interacting with friends because of inappropriate content. 44% said that digital profile is an important part of their future. The point I want to make here is, since morning, or when we attended the session last year, when someone from HP presented a tab and he put it on the floor and stood on it and said, we have created a tab on which you can stand. So a principal sitting nearby asked him, can you jump on it? Then the expectation for technology will always be higher. Someone in the morning said that technology should not be blamed in the sense it is destroying values. But my point is, even if we try to stop this thing, we will not be able to stop. It will go on its own. But the values, we have to work hard at that one, because it won't come by its own way. We have to struggle for it. This is an age where technology is the only way to do one thing. Technology is the only way to do things. I know it, you know it. Technology should not be our masters. We should master technology. That is my point. Thank you very much.
And I think I'll just wrap up the session now. And let's remember, as he said, we should be masters, but yes, you cannot run away from technology. You still, I mean, all of you, I was just noticing, and I wanted to ask you to remind you, how many times all of you looked at your phone in the past half an hour? At least 10 times minimum. So this is what we are dependent on, and let's not forget it. Values, as he said, we have to just throw it all around. Values are not